Hey gardeners, it's Chris here. I thought I would amend my basically perennial garden over here. We've got our beetroot, strawberries, and of course, importantly, the asparagus. And basically, the asparagus has been struggling a little bit. I amended the soil on this side of the bed with some of the fresh soil that we got from a delivery. However, I really want to give this bed the best chance possible. So what I've got here is a bit more of that soil, but mainly compost. I bought a cubic meter of compost to do all of the beds, and I checked online and people said, oh, you can put, an inch of compost. Some people recommended putting up to 4 inches of compost and mixing it in with the soil, which is a little bit harder in a bed like this where we've got really established plants and we don't want to obviously interrupt kind of the crowns of those asparagus. And as a result, what I'm going to do is somewhere in between, where I'm going to mix the soil and the compost, which I think the soil already has a bit of compost in it, and we're going to put some vermiculite in because the ground is getting too dry. It's not holding a lot of moisture, which is hurting the asparagus, I would say. They do like decent drainage, but I think at the same time they're still not kind of being well supported by the soil. And at the back of the bed there, when I put this bed in, I think there was probably like this much from the top of the bed, and it has dropped to kind of that much of the bed doesn't have soil in it. And so obviously there's a bit of compaction there, which is not ideal, but also the growing medium for our asparagus, which normally you want to build up and up and up and up, is actually going the other direction, which is probably why those crowns under the ground are struggling to support all of the growth above the ground. So our compost, our soil and our vermiculite mix should do the job. I've pulled all of the mulch off the top and that'll go back on because that's starting to nicely decompose, and I can probably even mix that in with the compost, which will probably be better, and then maybe put some fresh mulch in on top, and hopefully that will regenerate this garden a little bit because we're heading into autumn and obviously the asparagus will die off over winter. However, a lot of the beds, that soil mix, obviously we're having some issues, and I'm going to go buy some more coconut coir as well, secondhand, nice and cheap, and I'm going to be also adding that into the compost to essentially get a nice moisture holding soil mix, because that's where we're really struggling at the moment. I think more compost so that we've got the good stuff kind of breaking down into the garden beds, and then the vermiculite and the coir to hold a bit more moisture as well in the soil, and hopefully that will get the soil in a bit of a better position where I can then hopefully just maybe be getting, a metre or maybe 2 metres of the compost and adding that a couple of times a year, and adding my own compost as well once I get that really producing, and we'll be pretty sweet because the compost is $66 a cubic metre, which isn't too bad. And they actually had like a leaf litter compost as well you can buy for $33 a cubic metre, and I kind of wanted to get some of that to give that a try, both here and elsewhere in the garden, particularly around like the fruit forest kind of stuff. So that's another thing that really we need to think about. Potentially even probably 10, maybe 15 centimetres down right at the back as far as that soil level. These are only a 370mm tall Birdie's garden bed. So, and they're dug into the ground at the back. So if you're that low on soil level, there's really not a lot there at all. So this is the soil from the bottom of the bucket. I'm gonna have to probably mix a lot of this by hand. Carrying them in little buckets like this is probably the smartest way of doing it, just because it makes it really easy. Obviously the handles are all breaking and I need new buckets, but these big 40-litre buckets are better for efficiency, but if, like, this is half, 2/3 full of compost, so it's fairly light, full of soil, this will weigh quite a bit. Okay, so that is the start. I'm gonna go get some more buckets of compost, I think some more soil, because I probably want, I reckon, a 50-50 mix of soil and compost. which is probably, I think people will be saying that's a little bit high on the compost side of things. But this is kind of a top dressing and I'm not digging it in. And actually what I'm going to do before I put that next layer in is I'm going to put some vermiculite across this whole area and just kind of scruff it in. And then when I put the next layer on, again, I will just dig up that top layer. I won't really be digging down all that much into the layer underneath. And the hope is that it will obviously, you know, it will with time kind of blend together. I might get the pitchfork in, I just have to be really careful because I don't want to hit my asparagus crowns and damage them. So you might have heard the saying, all that glitters isn't gold, and this glitters, but it isn't gold. And this is our vermiculite, and you've kind of got your two options. Vermiculite, which will hold moisture, but also help aerate your soil and kind of lighten the soil up, I guess you'd say, from all my research. And perlite, which will drain really, really well, so it doesn't retain the moisture. And the reason that distinction is important is because for me, where we're struggling to keep the moisture in the soil, I need vermiculite. And if you're familiar with something like Mel's Mix, it uses a very high percentage of vermiculite. However, if you had the opposite problem, poor drainage, and your plants were drowning, you'd probably want to put perlite in instead, because that will give you the better drainage. But just as a little clarification there. I haven't really used the extra 2 buckets, a big one and a small one of compost that I brought down, because I'm just kind of eyeballing that soil/compost mix, and I don't want too much compost because the compost also runs quite hot. Like, we got a trailer load full and it's quite warm up there, and obviously there's kind of the potential that if we just put a full layer of it in on top of our asparaguses, maybe it'd like burn all of the stalks and everything like that. Whereas with the soil, that should be less of an issue when they're kind of mixed, technically. And there's no doubt that I probably should wait for, I'm getting asparagus fronds in my eyes. Like, ideally, you would just wait and do this in winter when your asparagus have died off, but my asparagus are already looking a little sad. So, and it'll probably, I don't think they even fully died off ever during winter, because it's the subtropics here, and while I could cut them down short, it seems better to try and give them a real boost now, heading into autumn, where we'll still have a couple more really nice warm months, and they could really have a pick-me-up into that very, very short kind of winter season when they go not really even dormant. Oh, so this is our mulch, which isn't compost. So compost is like properly decomposed. Mulch is that top layer that holds the moisture in, and it is starting to decompose. And I'm going to mix it in a little bit with that top compost and soil mix, and then I'll put a fresh coat, a very light fresh coat on top, and that will continue the cycle. Then once I've mixed this in with that top layer, I'm going to water, and we've had a bit of rain, but that compost I bought just yesterday, it's obviously been sitting out in a yard in a nursery, and it's a little bit on the dry side. The soil is better, it's nice and moist, which is why I wanted to mix the two. But I'm gonna kind of mix this stuff in, and then I will water, and then another layer of mulch will go on top. Kind of just throw it around and then get it kind of laid out is probably smarter, so that we get an even layer. Then mix it in. And in a good sign it's actually, you can kind of see some, I don't know that you call it mold, but you can see all that stuff that breaks down the leaves and stuff in there. So time to grab the hose, give this a good water in. We've just had about 60 mil in the last week, which was essentially the whole month's worth of rain in a single week. And honestly, last month wasn't real great either. So that's most of the rain we've had in the last 2 months, but that is a generous amount, and that has filled up the tanks, which means I can water a little bit more generously in the hopes that we won't run out before we get our next bit of rain. And there's a little bit forecast, so I'm being a little bit generous on the watering because it is still a dry time of year, and February is still quite dry as well, so that's next month. And one thing I've really noticed, and this is a troubling observation, is that the stuff I planted out in the garden that I never water does okay without water. The vegetable garden, last year I watered every second day and it did pretty well, but I felt like production suffered. This year I've watered the vegetable garden basically every day, and I don't think production's been any better, but if you miss a day, the plants really, really let you know that they're not happy. So it's like kind of one of those things where you go, well, am I giving them something that they appreciate but perhaps don't need? I don't think that's the case. I think I need a more efficient watering system, but it's, you know, it's one of those observations that's a bit of a worry.